Donnie Walton. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about the history of the computer in the classroom.
It was 1780 when schools first adopted the standard classroom model with one teacher and several students to manage. In 1946, the first vacuum tube-based computers were developed. Universities helped the computer development effort. In 1951, very little technology was used in schools, primarily television. The baby boom began with the resulting increase in class size. General Electric became the first business to order a computer in 1954. It wasn't until 1955 when the first commercial computer was sold. It was made by IBM. During the Cold War in 1958, the National Defense Education Act brought some new money and some new technology into schools, but it was used primarily in vocational education. Even more money was diverted into education in 1962 by President Kennedy. At the same time, airlines became the first to use a computerized reservation system. In 1963, the Vocational Education Act passed, and new money was made available for technology in schools. However, the mainframe and mini computers in use at that time did not fit well into the single-teacher learning methods in most schools. The Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965 brought new money into schools for technology. Some mainframes and mini computers were put into place in some schools, but most were used for administration or for school counseling. During the Civil Rights Movement in 1968, money designed for technology into schools was canceled. Host computers were not widely adopted in schools because they were seen as inappropriate for use with the teacher-manager model of learning. It wasn't until 1971 when the first personal computers were developed. In 1975, some Apple I PCs were donated to schools. Some schools had adopted the mainframes and mini-computers, but refused to consider the PCs. It was 1979 when computer use really started to become widespread. Some 15 million PCs were estimated to be owned around the world. In 1981, computers finally began to gain popularity. Drill and practice gained acceptance in schools. The first educational drill and practice programs were developed for personal computers. The Apple II computer found widespread acceptance in education in 1983. This would lead to the development of the Apple Macintosh computer in 1984. Computer-based tutorials and learning games were also developed at the time by commercial software manufacturers, but there were still relatively few computers in classrooms. In 1986, 25% of high schools used PCs for college and career guidance, and K-8 schools bought mostly Apple II and Macintosh computers. Games like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego gained popularity. By 1990, multimedia PCs were developed and schools were using video disc, simulations, educational databases, and other types of programs on CD-ROM disk, many with animation and sound. In 1994, most U.S. classrooms had at least one PC available for instructional delivery, but not all teachers had access to a computer for instructional preparation. The Internet and the World Wide Web began to catch on as businesses, schools, and individuals created web pages in 1995. From 1997 until now, the growth of the Internet expanded far faster than most had predicted. It soon became the world's largest database of information, graphics, and streaming video, making it an invaluable resource for educators. Search engines such as Google and Yahoo constantly developed new ways to find information within the ever-growing number of web pages. Educational software became more useful and interesting to students as graphics and video were incorporated. Larger computer storage capacity and the growing prevalence of CD-ROM and DVD drives in personal computers made it easier for educators to store large graphic, video, and sound files for educational applications.
Now that you've heard a little bit about the history of the computer in the classroom, I'd like to share with you a specific example of an observation that I did in a 5th grade classroom in Temecula, California.
Steve Sloan's 5th grade class at Pava Valley Elementary School has been gaining notoriety for its unique way of teaching. Each student in the class has their own personal computer. They have access to over 100 educational programs and more than 500 tutorials. The class is truly optimized for the individual student. Here are just a few examples of the programs that the students have available to them. The first is Ace Reader. Ace Reader is a program used to increase fluency and exercise the student's eyes. The program goes from kindergarten to college. Mr. Sloan has seen his students improve by up to 4 grade levels using this program. One of the students' favorite programs is called Quarter Mile. This program is designed to help memorize math facts. Once they have reached a certain level of memorization, they can race against one another using networked computers. This program has served as a great motivator to learn all of their math facts. The program that Mr. Sloan is most proud of is the Complete Lesson Set. The Complete Lesson Set covers all subjects and standards for the 5th grade curriculum. It includes video tutorials, PowerPoints, games, articles, internet links, quizzes, and much more. The best part of this program is that the student must complete all activities, but only at their own pace. Before they can move on from one subject to the next, they must complete a quiz or test that goes along with it. As a teacher, the most exciting thing that I saw was the class survey. The class survey is a way of completing a test on the computer. The teacher has the option of sending the test out to everyone or just selected students. As the students take the test, he gets immediate feedback on how they are doing. If the students answer a question wrong, a red square appears next to their name on the teacher's computer screen. Or if they get it right, a green square appears. This gives the teacher the ability to immediately see how the class is doing as a whole for each question and test, helping him to understand what needs to be retaught or if he can move on. The students also receive immediate feedback. If they answer a question wrong, they are instantly diverted to a tutorial on how to complete the problem correctly. That is the ultimate immediate and specific feedback for students. Using the class survey program gives the teacher the ultimate ability to have his finger on the pulse of the classroom. Not to mention saving hours of time that can be better spent on instruction and lesson planning. Computers have come a long way since the mid-1900s and continue to change the way we educate our children. Classes like Mr. Sloan's are most likely only the beginning of many more like it to come.